mate. Great to have you on board. Andy is with us, so too Simon. How is Callum after that brave but I'm afraid in vain attempt to topple Beterbiev?
He's okay. Listen, when you go in there and you lose to a better man and you lose to a champion, it's easier to take. And it's not the experience that I think we've all done it. You know, you lose to someone who's just better, bigger, stronger. And that's how it is. You know, he's gutted, I'm sure. I haven't really spoke to him, to be honest with you. Callum's one of the quietest men in boxing, and he's like that with everyone, even his brothers and his family. You know, if he doesn't speak, he doesn't speak. He's quiet. Doesn't speak a bit. He doesn't have to, should I say? And I haven't really spoke to him much over the last few days. Just the odd text here and there, but I'm sure he's okay. He's good at putting things into perspective. And I think when you're fighting, when you're boxing, when you lose, you have to look at the bigger picture. Life's a bigger game than boxing. His family's healthy. His kids are happy and healthy. He's getting married this year. You know, he's got a lot to look forward to as well. And if he decides to fight on and come back in, there's still big massive fights out there for him if he should be want to.
Yeah, and I hope he does, Paul. I tweeted before the fight. I think it's a tough ask, and it's a tough ask because he's fighting a pound for pounder. There's no shame in losing to that. I mean, he lost to Canelo, who at the time was pound for pound number 1, and he's fighting Beterbiev, who at worst is pound for pound number 6 or 7. That's who Callum's losing to. He's not losing to scrubs. And his interview after, Paul, and you can understand that he's never been stopped like that. He almost is hinting at retirement, and I kind of said, I hope he doesn't. I hope he takes some time out, because I think there are fantastic fights out there for him still. I think he's still one of the best 175 pounders. There aren't 475 pounders on planet Earth that beat Callum Smith. If he comes back, refreshes, I think he looks good on the body, I think he can come back and cause damage, Paul.
Yeah, me too, Simon. And as you say, you know, it's not like, in my opinion, people always going to say I'm biased. I don't like really talking about my brothers much because I get the usual shouts of, "Oh, you're going to say that." But for me, he's still probably the number 1 in Britain, and the fights in a domestic division at 175 in the UK alone are huge. And this thing now with His Excellency Turkey over there, he wants to get 5 Queensberry versus 5 Matchroom. Callum last fight was a Matchroom. He can obviously sign a game with Matchroom and maybe fight one of the anti-yards over in Saudi. The fights are there for him, but knowing Callum the way I do, Simon, if he'd have won that fight, he probably could have retired in the ring. He's always said he's never in it for the money. It's not about money, it's about just being the best. He wanted to be the best. And this is a kid who wanted to get out while he was 30, and the COVID changed that obviously, but his plans were to win a world title, become the best in the division, and then probably retire at 30. So I don't know what he's going to do, and I'm not saying that being his eldest brother. But if he decides to fight on, as you say, I totally agree. There's huge fights out there, and I'd back him against anyone, you know, in the light heavyweight division, as I did last Saturday.
Paul, I'd like to lay claim to the integrity of that question, but it's actually Addy. Were you surprised, Paul? Because I gave Callum a real chance in this fight, because we saw certain vulnerabilities in the yard fights that ultimately Callum could take advantage of with the style that he's got and the check left hook that he can deliver to this guy in the body. But were you surprised at how good Beterbiev was? Because he looked so impregnable. Everything that Callum wanted to do, if he wanted to fight inside, the power pushed him back. If he was on the outside, he was getting picked off. Were you surprised at the level that Beterbiev was at?
I was very surprised at how tough he was, how strong he was. And listen, people have said this, and it's hard to say without sounding like sour grapes. It's not, but he's getting better at 39. He's getting stronger at 39. He's looking bigger and tougher and meaner at 39. I'm 41. I'm a couple of years old. I've been retired nearly 6 years. I still getting out of bed some mornings with the pain that I've got and the injuries that I've had over a hard career. And he's been a pro, you know, equally as long, I'd say. But the small ring didn't help. Again, no excuses. The small ring probably. We said when it was small, you know what? I'll probably sue you, because people assume that because Callum's long and tall that he wants to box at a distance. He doesn't. He wants you up close. He wants to be close. It was a case of Beterbiev being very good. Callum just couldn't get going, but that's what the top fighters do. When Callum lost to Canelo, he was distraught. He was sobbing at the changing rooms. He said I just couldn't get going. And the example I used was about good football teams. They don't let you do what you do well. They're going to stop what you do and negate what you do so they can do what they do. And that's what happened on Saturday night with Beterbiev. He didn't let Callum get into rhythm. He closed the distance really well. He was fit, really strong, very strong, smart as well. He doesn't get the credit he deserves for being smart in there, Beterbiev. He's a very good fighter, as you mentioned yourself before, Sam. He's an elite fighter. He's unbeaten, 20 fights, 20 wins, 20 knockouts, and he will take some stopping, especially even against Bivol, in my opinion. But we felt, and I felt certainly, that Callum had the answers, and it wasn't to be on Saturday night. You know, as I say, no excuses.
Yeah.
Better than
Paul, I always like hearing you. I mean, you and I have many chats about the world of boxing. You've set up a boxers union. Tell us more about that. What's your intention?
Yeah, listen, it's not me, just me. It was an idea I had many years ago. It's been done before, it's been tried before, should I say, years ago. And it's always come from a different perspective. It's always come from I'm an ex-boxer. I know a lot about boxing. I've put my life to boxing. I've got 30 years of experience in boxing. And I consider myself an expert in boxing without sounding big-headed, but I don't know about unions or trade unions. I don't know about contracts as much as I should. I'm a big believer in putting experts in the field. I'm sick to death of seeing the government at the moment with people in charge of health who are unhealthy and not healthy and don't know anything about health, people in charge of finance who don't know about finance. I believe experts should be in the field of what they're doing, and we've come at this from a trade union perspective. We've got members of the TUC, we've got members of the PFA. We've been getting the right background checks on things, the right people advising us on things, and we just want to give fighters a fair crack at the whip. We want to work with anyone that we can, all the promoters that Boxing World control. I'm sick of that. They're sitting there watching fighters getting their hands wrapped, and I'm the representative from the team, and the official doesn't know what he's looking for or she's looking for. And that for me is criminal. If you're in a sport, working in a sport, an official in a sport, you should know that sport inside out. That goes for football, it goes for boxing, it goes for any sport out there. We're seeing it all the time now in football with VAR and the people that are doing it. VAR is a system in place, but it's also a person overseeing it. And that's the same with boxing. You know, we have some officials in boxing that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, Simon,
in boxing that are not paying fighters always.
It sounds great what Paul is saying there. I think it's been tried before, but this time it sounds like Paul's on a winner.
Barry McGuigan tried it.
Go on, Paul.
Yeah, but it was purely from a boxing perspective, in my opinion. He was coming out from a place of boxing along with other boxers, and we're coming out from a union perspective. We've got members of, as I say, of the TUC, PFA. We've got.
It'd be interesting to see how you get it funded
from a union perspective.
It'd be interesting. I mean,
Barry will sign, but it will.
Barry came at it from the point of view, and he will lay claim to a lot of the medical facilities that are around boxing rings now, but in part because of the influence that was there. Where he couldn't get the thing going and really get it going was the funding of it, because ultimately it needed fighters to give up some of their purses. And this will be the interesting part, because one thing in sport, football, getting a union funded by taking 1% of the TV monies, a whole different thing. And it will be interesting to see if promoters come to the table and start providing some money to support fighters in circumstances like this.
Obviously, Simon, you know your stuff. You knew that straight away from the PFA. The PFA received their funding from, as you say, the television networks. There's no reason why boxing can do that. We're not going to ask boxers for a percentage of the purse. I don't think anyone should be getting a percentage of the purse. It'll be a flat fee for everyone, as the PFA is, and we'll supplement it from, hopefully, from television networks. Maybe, you know, we can't be seen to be taking money from promoters either, because also that could be impartial. We want to make sure that healthcare is in place. If you get in that ring, and God forbid you lose your life or you lose your health, and it's a career-threatening injury or a life-threatening injury, then you should be covered by some form of insurance. If you have that in place for all the fighters that are signed up, when you get in that ring, at least you know you're safe and your family's safe should the worst happen. The WBC have just started doing it now, where you sign a waiver and you give your next of kin, I think it's like $100,000 or $200,000 or something. But we want to make sure that when fighters are in there, that they're taken care of, the health is taken care of. If a fight's postponed, the payments will be made to fighters so they can make the next fight and actually train. A lot of fighters out there at the moment, they're fighting and they're borrowing money to get through training camps to then fight and pay it back at the end of it. And that's the harsh reality of boxing. It's the 1% that make a lot of the money, and it's the rest of the fighters out there in the country that are in the world that are struggling to make ends meet to get to camps to actually fight.
A very, very good point that you make. Many good points in there. Thank you so much. Paul Smith speaking to us live from Liverpool, where this weekend